Hello, good evening, and welcome. My name is Promise Odera Onu. I just want to use this as an introduction. Hello, Grace. I want to start this particular series of talk show. I've been going into different lives, watching a lot of people's podcasts, trying to join people discussions, on various topics. And I'm having that void. I'm not feeling satisfied with what the discussions are, people's opinions on different topics. So I'm looking at our society as a whole and I'm thinking like we've lost it. It seems like, when you listen to Nigerians talk or, people in general, it's like we've managed to remove morality from our way of life or our lifestyle, so to speak. So people are now making judgments on issues, you know, based on their own understanding or how they just choose to live their life without any standard or any principle. First of all, uh, after this Nigerian 2023 presidential election, of course, we wanted change. We started from the whole the NSAS movement, the uh, Sorosoke movement, which also helped us to sort of mobilize to say we want change. Then the electoral law was signed into law, and then we thought something is going to change in terms of our politics. So we wanted a good candidate, and we decided to vote for campaign vigorously for somebody like P2B. We know what the situation is now, and we're just hoping that the judiciary can save the country, can save our democracy, can save our efforts as a people. Because we have spoken, people flew down from different countries to come and participate in the election to make sure that we choose a better leader. Now, coming out of that election, we saw how disappointed or how disappointing INEC was in terms of silencing our votes and disenfranchising people. But that's now out of our hands. We can't do anything more. It's now down to the court to do the needful. But again, as I look at the whole society, I'm thinking, okay, yes, we've come together to say we want change of leaders. But again, there is another aspect that is missing. We, the people. You see, for every society, there is a contract between the people and the government. Now, I'm not talking about system of government. It could be democracy, it could be communism, it could be monarch system, it could be anything. But then whoever is the leader has a contract with the people. The people pay their taxes. The leader looks after the people, does those things that will help the people to sort of foster peace and unity and progress. And that's how people grow as a society. Now, there are things the government would expect the people to do for them to be able to help them. And I feel like there are things that we, the people, need to work on. So in as much as we are saying to the government, oh, you guys are looters, you guys are corrupt, you guys are this, you guys are that, I think there is also a need for us to introspect. And now we're in social media age. And we know the role that social media plays in the influencing of the people, the culture and everything. So that made me to sort of start going into people's lives, trying to understand the conversation, how people reason, what is, So I begin to see that there is different sort of opinions. But the major one being that people are now moving away from, will I say, religion. A lot of people don't really care about the word of God anymore. I'm not coming to preach. But then what I'm getting at is that most constitution of the world, or a lot of countries, are based on religious books. And that's why you have Christian countries and you have Muslim countries. Now the reason why they are Christian countries is because their constitution emanates from the Bible. So if you say, for example, the UK, the UK is a Christian country because they have the Anglican Church. In the UK, you've got Scotland. Scotland also have their own church. So a lot of countries identify with a particular church. Russians are Christians, but they are Orthodox Christians. Americans are Christians. Italians are Christians. And then it goes on and on. Now, when you come to Nigeria, for example, Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state because it's made up of, 2 major religions or 3 major religions, if you count the traditionalists as well. But the point is that whereas in some part of the country in the north, they have the Sharia law, which is from their religion, right? From the Islam religion. In the south, it's more or less like it's now beginning to sort of float. The constitution is not really based on the religion anymore. And just to give you an example so you understand, if the constitution say you shall not kill, that's like what the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. So most times constitutions are written in accordance with religious beliefs. But then also the way of life or the culture of people are also based on that religion, the society, the culture, the way of life of a people is usually based on their beliefs. So say for example, before the Christians came, or the colonial masters came to Nigeria, we practiced traditional religion. But that does not mean that they were bad. The priests were revered. If you do any abomination, you'll be banished, or you'll be punished, or you have to make sacrifices to appease the gods. So people knew what to do and what not to do. So that sort of created that society, or helped that society. But then nowadays, you see, like, when people are now turning against religion, it's now affecting our way of life as well. Because people now think, I am free, I have the right to do what I want. And it doesn't even help that such countries that you might regard as Christian countries are also going against the Christian. So what I'm getting at is that before now, constitutions and people's way of life used to be based on their religion or their holy books. Some countries still do practice it. A lot of Muslim countries still practice it. But then major world powers like China, like Russia, like the US are trying to be more secular than stay on one particular religion. So because of that, we have things like LGBTQ coming up. We have things like, anybody can smoke, anybody can do whatever. Freedom, liberty. That's what's being preached now. So now people are beginning to lose that balance of, or lose that idea of religion, right? A lot of people don't even want to go to church anymore. So now you go on Facebook, you see native doctors that are billionaires because young people who are on social media are going that way. And then they choose to, share the narrative that Christianity was brought to us by the white man to colonize us. But what they don't understand is that Christianity started from Italy, started from Rome. So the Romans invaded the UK, and of course, Christianity now came here. They fought their own wars, internal civil wars as well, based on religion, Catholic and Anglicans and stuff like that, and Protestants. So it is not per se that the English people or the British people were the first Christians. Now, how do people convert from one religion to the other? They convert when they try the powers and they say, okay, this one is a higher power. And that's why most of our fathers left their religion and embraced Christianity, because Christianity possessed more power than whatever they were practiced. So people are now moving away from traditional religion to Christianity, but also still maintaining their core values, their societal values. But then now that even the colonial masters themselves are moving away from the same religion, Africans are now saying, okay, why should we even hold on to something that we were introduced to, and those people are not holding? So it's like a ripple effect. So everybody now saying, okay, we don't even need this God anymore. Let's go back to our traditional ways. And the effect of that on the society is that now everybody's confused. Young people are now going to diabolical powers, visiting some traditional places, and some of them are still identifying as Christians, but then they are not practicing it in reality. So what happens is that when topics come up, or when societal issues come up, or when it comes to people to make judgments on particular issues, they sort of don't know what to use as a yardstick. They cannot use religion anymore, because before you probably use religion to guide what you do, or use it as a guide. The Bible should guide your way of life. But now you're turning away from that religion, then that means you're now down to whatever you decide is good. And what is good to you might not be what is fair to somebody else. For example, if you are sitting on a bus and an elderly person come in, or a pregnant person, or a pregnant woman come in, it's your right to keep sitting down. But is it fair that you are sitting down and an elderly person is standing if that's the last seat available? Or is it fair to give the old man, your seat to sort of sit because he's weaker? Or would you, want to allow the pregnant woman to sit down? Now, there is no law that says you must stand up, because it could be that you're also tired yourself. So this is the problem that I'm now finding with society, right? And this is why I decided, okay, let me start this page, or let me try and change my social media to something I can use to educate people, for those who want to listen, on the best practices. And funny thing is, it is neither the Western world or the Eastern world or even West Africa's practices that is the best. But then what we're going to have to be looking at is, issue by issue, what should be the best practices, or what should be the best practice. We know there is moral decadence both in Nigeria, but also in the West. So they are having the issue of, because they want inclusivity, now they are now stuck in teaching young people to change the agenda, which it sort of looks like is bad to an African man who naturally would not have accepted such. So you cannot choose one culture and say that's the best. So we need to come to a consciousness that there are things we can pick from this culture, the Western world, and there are also things we have to pick from our original culture, which is how our forefathers used to live, and have that balance. But then ultimately, if we want to say, okay, what is going to define our way of life? Is it going to be our constitution? Is it going to be our religion? Or is it going to be our moral ethics? Then we have to stick by it. And this is coming from, I watched Nedu's The Honest Bunch, and funny enough, for the first time since that, I wouldn't say it's for the first time though, but it has been making buzz every week when they have one top celebrity that come and say something nasty, or somebody saying, my boyfriend licks my period, or somebody comes and says something controversial about women. He's always making the blogs. But funny enough, I didn't hear anything this week. So I was like, okay, didn't they do the weekly podcast? So I then went to his page today. I wanted to listen now, and I was like, I first of all was going through the comments. I was just curious to know why there was no buzz like usual. So I noticed that people were saying, "Oh, this is your best podcast. Oh, this guy, Dr. Foy, is good and very intelligent guy." So I was like, "Okay, wow." So because it's like something educational, now the blogs are not picking it up, right? So I listened to it, and it was a fantastic topic. It was about hookups and Yahoo boys. Yeah. Now, in the society in Nigeria, for example, we have lost it. Now, if you do a street evaluation, you will understand a lot of people, a lot of young girls want to date Yahoo boys as their boyfriend. A lot of girls are into hookups. So now, what is the best practice when it comes to that? Is it supposed to be something that is acceptable? So that podcast was, trying to explain how we got to where we are and how much we need influencers to be able to get the thinking right, especially for our young ones. So you could see that didn't make the internet. That didn't break the internet. That didn't buzz because it's not some stupid comments or some, somebody glorifying, what doesn't make sense. And that's naturally the trend that people tend to take. People tend to sort of avoid the real truth. People tend to sort of listen to, people that, people that say things that are stupid, especially Nigerians. There are a lot of, let me just touch this topic a little bit. There's a lot of intelligent and very skilled songwriters or musicians in Nigeria, but they don't get the kind of followership or fans or fan base as much as they give people that doesn't really appear to write their songs, like Portable, or the kind of buzz that follow people like Speed Darlington, for example. You will be looking at it from the perspective of, okay, why is all these good writers? You have the likes of Chike, you have the likes of Nonso Amadi. Why is it that they are not being celebrated? That is coming from our culture. That is because we have the culture that is glorifying stupidity rather than people who actually have a gift. So when we look at the West in terms of music, for example, we might be looking at them as people who don't like dancing. But if we look at people that have made it, big in the West in terms of music, the likes of Celine Dion, or whoever you want to pick, anybody, you will see that there are people that their songs made sense, people that wrote their songs not just because they know how to make beats. So it was less of the beats and more of the writing. And again, if you go to anything at all, let's touch politics a little bit. P2B has said before that in the Western world, they don't have spokesperson. You have to speak for yourself. If you have an idea, you have to come and tell people what your plans are, what you want to tell, or how you want to solve issues. But then in Nigeria, we have one person and we have about 4 spokespeople talking about what people don't know. And then at the end of the day, none of those things that were said gets done. But then it's all right because the person can simply deny, like they did recently. Femi Adesina, who is the media person for Buhari, said none of those promises that were made by APC was made by Buhari himself. So the man has narrated Buhari. So again, we're in that kind of situation whereby there are some things we do in Nigeria which doesn't make sense. Honestly, it doesn't make sense. One of them is spraying of money. Do I do it? Yes, because it's our culture. But then we are the poverty capital of the world. So how can the poverty capital of the world be spraying money? And when I mean spraying money, it used to be just weddings. Now it's traditional marriage, child dedications. If you give birth, if your wife gives birth in the hospital, they even have the one they call push gift. They can buy a car or whatever. They spray money on a new baby. Pastors will be preaching on the pulpit. They spray money. In clubs, in nightclubs, they spray money. So Oyibo, for example, will be looking at us like, why are they spraying money? But then they are the poverty capital of the world. So it doesn't make sense what we do. So there are things like we need to look at in terms of cultural, I don't know the right word to use for it, but we need to get these best practices in place. Our education is another example. Why do people go to uni these days? What do they go to uni to achieve? Cultism is almost overshadowing our education. Now it's hard for you to see a young person in uni without belonging to a cult. And most of them are not even going to uni to be able to use it to practice, because Nigeria, an architect can go to the Senate, whereas he does not have any legal training. He's not a lawyer. He's just managed to be a governor, and then he end up in the Senate, where laws are being made for the whole country, where you have a lot of lawyers and senior advocates. So we have all these issues, and everything is just like haywire. So we need to start looking at what is obtainable in Nigeria, what is obtainable elsewhere, what is the best practice. And it's not in everything that we need to adopt what is happening elsewhere. There are things that, of course, we need to start preserving. Like what I was trying to say in terms of, raising children, what is being taught in school in terms of morality. We cannot throw away our beliefs, our way of life, just because the West are doing it, right? There are so many countries in the world that are not necessarily practicing democracy, but they are still very well developed. Iran, for example, Iran is well developed. They're not practicing democracy. China is well developed. They're not practicing democracy. Russia is well developed. They're not practicing democracy. There are loads of kingdoms. It's not only United Kingdom. There is a kingdom that has a monarch system. Thailand has a monarch system. Yugoslavia, I think. There's so many other countries that are under, a kingship. So, but then the most important, UAE is another one. They have the prince. They have a kingdom. So it does not really matter the system of government. What matters is that the people are doing what they're supposed to do. They are law abiding. Now you as a government, you are providing what you need to provide for these people. And then the society needs to form a core value. And this is one of the problems we have in Nigeria. There is difference between the core value in the north and the core value in the south. And also, when people, if you watch the social media space as well, the social media space that the Northerners are very active on is different from the social media space the South are even the Southwest is a little bit different from what is going on in the social media space of the East. And I've studied this, and I found out that so many people on the East have their own content creators that probably, converse or do this content creating in Igbo language. Then you have those that are probably more popular, or people who are in Lagos who are doing also content creating that other people in the Southwest are consuming. And that goes for even comedy and all the rest. Of course, sometimes they come from the East and they want to go into Lagos if they want to get more fan base. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that there are different sort of social media influencing that goes on in different parts of the country, right? So we don't have a common core value, because what they are preaching up here in Nigeria and down here and here are all different. So you start asking yourself, amongst all these, which one is the best practice that should be adopted? Another good example is where Kanu, for example, is not allowing beer or alcohol, and Jigawa government also, because they are practicing Sharia law. And then down in the South, it's okay, you can drink beer, you can drink. So again, you don't understand what exactly should be the case. You don't exactly know what should be the case. So to make it clear, we need to start having conversations about what should be the best practice. What are we supposed to do? If we are going to look at education, then we look at education. What is happening to our young people not going to school? Why is it that when parents see that their daughters that are in school are bringing money home, instead of asking for money, they are not questioning them? And a lot of these can be attributed to the government and poverty and blah, blah, blah. But then what happened to that idea that people used to have more respect for themselves and their families, that even if they have to be poor, but then not doing anything evil, it is better to them? Why are now parents being proud that their children are bringing money home without asking or knowing fully well how they are getting that income? When did we start losing it? How did we start losing it? And how do we change that narrative? What should we do to start changing that narrative? Because if we do not understand that we are collapsing as a society, then it's even a bigger problem. If you have young cousins or young nieces or people in Nigeria, try and speak to them. You know, see what is their, their mindset on money. See what is their mindset on making it. I've been trying to speak to one of mine, and all he's concerned about is making money. He doesn't want to go to uni. All he's talking about is wealth, wealth, wealth. So, you see, when you look at the society, that is purely because that is what the society is influencing, is giving to these young people. So they are taking it and swallowing it like that. They don't want to work hard anymore, burn the midnight candle, come out tops in their uni. Because again, what is the aftermath of that? For those who have achieved education, maybe first class or done so well, how far have they gone in life compared to those that have done Yahoo or those that have done some illegal stuff? Now we have a government that we clearly saw rigging, and our young people are watching, and they saw that professors helped in rigging for somebody who was rich enough to pay them. So they know that this person has been involved with some crimes like drug and everything. So tomorrow, if you're trying to say to a young person, drug is evil, he's going to ask you, but then you have somebody who is about to get into power who have done this some years ago. So I might as well do it, take the risk, make the money, and then tomorrow probably I can buy the whole Nigeria and become a president. So we need to look at this. We need to look at all these issues and ask ourselves, what is the best practice? So I want to start giving out because all this is because we're not painting a good image. We're not trying to influence the people more, the younger ones more, by showing them or showcasing them what the good people or what those who have done things legally have been able to achieve. So they keep seeing people like Hush Puppy. They keep seeing the Yahoo boys on the street who are spraying this money, buying the Benz, buying the hair for their girlfriends. So these are things that will influence them. But then if also the good people that are making this money cool way are also showing, okay, I'm able to achieve this, I'm able to achieve this, and I didn't do any crime, then of course we can start saving our generation and our young ones from going or derailing. Because the dangers now is that we don't have a fine line anymore between crime and we now have a fine line between crime and what is acceptable. Honestly speaking, if you go on Facebook now, you will see a whole lot of native doctors. They are not even hiding themselves. And these native doctors are telling young people, come, I will do okite for you. You will make money. Come, I will do one juju for you. Your maga will pay. Your clients go drop. Now, if the society is not trying to challenge that, people are going into that, and they can see these native doctors are making money and themselves are making money, and we are losing it. The society is fast crumbling that we don't know what is going to be obtainable in the next 5 years, especially in Nigeria. The church is not doing anything. In fact, some pastors are praying for this lot. So when they make it, they come back and even spray money on the altar. So even the church that's supposed to be helping are not doing the right thing. Some of them are even going into diabolic means to be able to do these miracles or empower these boys. So we are, as a society, in as much as we are blaming the government and praying for Peter Obi to win, when Peter Obi does win, we still have a problem. The people. We still have a problem. The people, because when Nigerians come abroad, they are the same Nigerians, but then they are able to stop at red lights. They are able to pay their taxes. They are able to do the right thing without needing to even go to church. Without needing to even, if you go to church or you serve God abroad, it's purely because you are a born again, you are repented, or you want to serve God. Not because you want to gain one particular thing or the other. Because you know if you go to work, you get paid. You know if you want to enter bus, the time they say bus will appear, which is very available to you on the phone, the information is there everywhere. You go there, the bus will arrive there. And if you are planning that you get to work at 8, and the bus says it's going to reach there at 7:58, it will get there at that particular time. So the essence of panicking and going to church for fear and praying that God will take you from one place to the other to avoid criminals or kidnappers or robbers or accidents or whatever is highly, minimal. But then because of now the society has lost anything like core values and everybody is doing anything for money. And because this government is not also good, we are losing speedily everything we hold dear to our society. So it's becoming very hard to talk to young people. It's becoming very hard to even influence your own children. Because it takes a village to make a man, it takes a village to make a woman. So now if us as a society don't put these things in check, plus what the government is doing, they send their kids abroad, which are saner society. I'm not saying that here doesn't have their own problem. Even those abroad have their own problem because they go into drugs and depression and whatnot. But then we need to be able to say, if your child come back home with money, or your child does not call you in 2 months to ask you for money, then you ask them, what exactly are you doing? Are you doing any job? What exactly are you doing that made you to be comfortable for all this while without reaching out to me for help or for assistance? We need to be able to ask our men, how did he get money to buy a car? 20 million naira Benz. A young girl that is earning 250, carrying a bag of 10 million naira. How are you getting all these things? And follow through on these things. Check their social media. See what they are doing. Because the way we are going, at the end of the day, if we allow our society to be so broken, regardless of if the president is doing the right thing, then we will end up with the kind of society that the West has now, so to speak. Because here abroad, you have a fantastic system in terms of government. If you are sick, you get medical care, you get free medical medication, free diagnosis, free everything. But the problem now is they've lost the core value of the family. People are now doing things based on, oh, I'm free. At 18, I can move out of the house. Oh, I can do whatever I want. I can change from a man to a woman. That liberty is now being abused or taken further step. In fact, if you're a junkie here, they keep giving you drugs, but on a minimal level because they can't stop you quick. So you see the government even helping them to continue this kind of life. Do you understand? If you want to identify as anything, alphabetically, they will allow you. So, in as much as the government is doing their own, their system has allowed their people to collapse so much so that they don't have hold on what a child or a young person can do or cannot do. And it's even getting worse because they're trying to teach the younger children who are below 16 and below 12 or even young as young as nursery or kindergarten that they could change their sex. They could do this, they could do that. Now, when you look at that kind of society, you start seeing a lot of problems, right? Yes, the government is good, but these people are suffering from depression, a lot of them from smoking, because they started smoking when they were young, and the parents cannot beat them, because if you beat them, the social services come and collect them. So you have a lot of young foster parenting, you have a lot of single moms. So because the system can provide accommodation for the single mom, look after them, so the children are now doing whatever they like, especially when they are being trained by a single mom. So in as much as they have a very strong system of government, they've lost the people. Now, when you look at other countries that have a very strong people-based orientation and culture, and also a strong system of government, they don't have need for their prisons. They don't have need for having too many mental issues, or too many programs to help young people who have gone cocoa, or who are struggling with smoking or whatnot. And there are countries like that. There are good countries who have managed to sort of manage both. And this is what I'm trying to get at. This is what I want to devote my time and page, especially on different issues. Because when I go to different people's pages, it's either this person is criticizing pastors, and again, I'm asking myself, okay, what is the motive? Because if you are criticizing pastors who are also there to help guide the people and the morality of the people, then what is your own motive? What are you profiling as another solution? There's nothing. So the little people we have that's supposed to be helping the society to be sane, you are criticizing them and you're not offering anything in return. So at the end of the day, we are having you two and I'm turning their back on religion and doing whatever they like. And the worst thing you can do is to say people, oh, you are free, you can do whatever they like. Because human beings, naturally, they want to do what is bad. Without the law, without the enforcement of the law, people will just do anything they like. They won't stop at red lights. They will just continue doing anything they like, which most of the time will not help the people. So you need to sort of have a standard or have a guide. And that's why people have constitutions. And most of these constitutions used to be from the holy books. But what we are seeing now is that people are moving, countries are moving away. Like in China, they've banned Christianity. People are now moving away from these holy books and now choosing what they consider as civil, which in most times doesn't really mean the best practice or the best obtainable way of life. So we have a duty, especially those of us who have lived right all our lives, and we want to uphold the right thing, or uphold civilization as well, but also doing the right thing and not just what is constitutionally right. Because in as much as we're in a system that accepts everybody, we also know that there are some things that are wrong based on our religion. There are some things that are wrong. Yes, we cannot criticize against those people. We have to accept them. But then so we know that we're not praying for our children to be like them. So you want to live in a society where there is a balance. You want to live in a society where there is less crime. So that's why when people say Nigerian wives are the most, how they put it again? That Nigerian women are the most cheat the most in the world, so they're the most promiscuous. How did we get to that? Marriage is honorable in all, the bed undefiled. So is it not because people are now turning away from religion? Is it not because people are now saying, oh, the Bible is wrong, the Bible is outdated, the Bible is expired, they were colonial masters' tools, blah blah blah. So now young people think, okay, what is the moral ground? Nothing. Do whatever you like. What do I feel like doing? I feel like cheating on my spouse. Then do it. You are free to do it. So we need to go back to basics. We need to sort of go back to how things used to be. Because we are losing it. We are losing it because the Constitution is not helping us, because our government is not even paying attention to the Constitution, and we're also turning our way, turning back on religion or the Holy Book. So in essence, the society is collapsing. Because the constitution is what binds both the government and the people together. Everybody is supposed to obey the constitution. Elections supposed to be based on the constitution. Then the people are supposed to obey the constitution and pay their taxes, go about their businesses, doing the right thing, not committing crime. And if anybody should err on the side of the law, of course the police are there to, make sure they maintain law and order. But in a case where the constitution is not obeyed, government is failing on their own side, the people are going haywire. That's why you have a society whereby somebody with drug-related offenses is about to be president, and at the same time, you have the young people who are doing Yahoo, paying bribes to police or whatever, and living the life they wanted, and girls are doing hookups. So if you look at the societies, it's a mess. And these are things they come online and say openly. Because now, the way it is now is that if you don't have money, nobody want to listen to you. If you don't have money, you are stupid. No matter how educated you are, no matter how literate you are, what matters is what validates you as far as the Nigerian society is concerned is money, regardless of how you made the money. So nobody's asking you a question about how you made the money. But before, it doesn't used to be like that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't about money. If you want to respect anyone, you respect anyone by the content of their head, by the content of their brain. And how you know you are matured or a society is matured is when people can interact with each other without thinking about their physical look or, because they've seen their nudity. Do you understand? So if you look at societies that work, for example, the Arab world, where they have all these covering of everything, you see they have a more sane society. Yes, you're allowed to marry for blah, blah, blah. But then you don't just go about impregnating girls, raping girls, sleeping with girls, or doing anything evil, right? You have to marry the person to, be able to sleep with them. So the society is less messed up. People can drive good cars, live good life, and still be humble. And that's what you have in the Arab world. So it's because they've managed to keep their constitution to be based on their religious belief and also very similar. Almost the same thing with their culture. And that's how societies are formed. But in a way whereby our constitution is being broken. In fact, in Nigeria, the constitution is not being held in every part of Nigeria. You have the Sharia law up north, and you have a different law down, penal code down south, and people are doing whatever they like. Do you understand? Anybody can come and threaten anybody and get away with it because you related to. Now, society is broken. Young people are doing hookup, doing all these bad things. Pastors are being accused of doing the wrong thing or their religion being instrumentalized in colonialism or whatever you call it, colonial masters. So at the end of the day, everybody's just going haywire. So what is the best practice? We need to start finding ways to start talking to young people, talking to ourselves, understanding that we have core values that our forefathers laid for us, our ancestors laid for us. We used to be this kind of people. We used to do things this way. Society used to respect you if you are this. It's like we're not celebrating anything good anymore. Any useless person can be celebrity in Nigeria. Any non-entity that has not enough sense, that cannot pass any, or in fact, let's talk about education. What is education? Education is not just when you have gone to a formal education. That's why it's called formal education. Formal education is whereby you wear uniform or whatever and go to 4 walls of a school or university and then you get a certificate at the end. There is informal education. Here in the UK, you can home train your children. Elon Musk said he's training his own children because he doesn't believe in any school can train his children better. So he built a school and he's training his children with few of his friends' children. So if you're a principal, for example, or you're a learned person, you're a professor, you can train your children because you're doing that for other people. If you own a school, you can train your own children, right? So education means impacting knowledge. And anybody can impact knowledge. So we're only focusing on the formal education, which anyway, we are using outdated curriculum that doesn't make any sense, that has not been improved. Our professors are not doing research. Even the little they are doing, they're battling with strikes. And then cultism has overtaken our educational system. So we have issues, like levels of issues in terms of education. Then you have the apprenticeship, right? Here in the UK government, the government have programs to help young people go into apprenticeship. So they pay big multinationals like Siemens, like KPMG to take on apprentice, train them. Sorry, not KPMG, because you have to be an accountant. You know, a few other companies, they take on people, train those people, and those people will go. They don't need to go to college now or go to school. They will be trained by these multinational companies or big companies, and they become something that way. That's also an education. Apprenticeship is an education. And then there is skill acquisition. There is skill acquisition. Here in the UK, if you're a plumber, you are minted. Plumbers are making good money. But it takes a long time to be a plumber. There are institutions to make sure you do the right thing. So you don't build a house and tomorrow pipe will burst like you always see in Nigeria. And that's why you have a lot of collapsed building in Nigeria, because nothing is regulated. People are just doing anything they like. The government system is collapsed. Everything is collapsed. There are institutions that are supposed to be managing anything, but as far as you can pay money, you can go and do whatever you like. People are building without any formalization. You know, everybody's just doing anything they like. Anybody can come out and claim they're electricians, they're this, they're that. You know, there is breakdown of everything. Because our society is centered on money and lack. Like, oh, let me get money because I've been suffering from lack. Oh, and every story is always the same. Oh, I was born poor, I was born in this slump, but now I'm rich. And everybody will clap. Everybody will glorify, right? That is not how society is supposed to be. If you're a carpenter here, you're making good money. So any trade worker, anything trade that you can do, for you to be an electrician here, you have to study to be an electrician, and it's going to take you a long time. But once you're certified or licensed, you know you're making money. All of this is our education. It's education. So you can start at 18 to learn how to be an electrician and do all the license, and before you know it, 3 years, 4 years, if you are fully licensed and everything, then you can start doing it. It becomes your trade. You can decide to go into the military. Here in the UK, you don't even have to go to normal university to go into the military. You can go to the military and they will train you. Equivalent of proper university. They will train you from a young age. So, as a society, as a country, we have to do all these things. Our society is breaking down, has broken down so badly that even professors, don't have any morality. If I'm to ask a question to say, if you want somebody to supervise a project, a billion naira project, for example, that you have an investor that wants to be delivered in Nigeria, who are you going to call to supervise that project, to make sure that project goes well? Are you going to call your pastor, your family member, an imam, who else? A policeman, or a lawyer practitioner that you probably know? Who are you going to confidently give this money and say, okay, I trust that this person will not cheat, or this person is going to deliver this job well? You will see that people will have different opinions because family members are not trustworthy in Nigeria. There is no family values anymore. Anybody can dupe you. Anybody can treat you bad. Nobody cares. Nobody hold anything dear. Nothing is special to anybody anymore. We've heard stories of, a lot of people trusting their family members, and when they come back to Nigeria for one project or the other, the money is gone. Are you going to trust your pastor? With all the stories we are hearing, a lot of pastors committing all sort of crimes. Are you going to trust a policeman? That's like, very laughable. So when you look at that, it is hard to find a profession or a people that are trustworthy in a society that has shown you that society have crumbled. But then you have people telling you that elsewhere, like places like Dubai, nobody steals anything from you. Or they tell you, but now, say for example in the UK, celebrities will come here and they will tell you they've been attacked in London. Why? Why can it happen in UK and not happen in Dubai? Why? So you look at it that this society is crumbling because they're not getting the family part and the morality intact. There is no moral ground anymore. They don't go to church. Churches here in the UK are being converted to theaters and whatever, and they don't go to church anymore. In fact, Christianity is fast getting, is the least religion now in the UK. Young people are not interested in going to church. They don't want to hear it. Every Sunday is football, 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 football. Even our people that have come from Africa, because they want their kids to play football, on Sundays they will take them to football. Saturdays they will take them to training. So people are not coming to church because of football. And that is the society presently in the UK. So because of that, there is no moral ground, except from what they are seeing from their parents. So when homes break, that's even worse. The children go off on their own. Once they hit 18, they leave the house. So, and that is why the society is breaking. And that's why you hear of all this crime. So we need to sort of balance the society to be able to get the best practice today. So as we are holding the government accountable in Nigeria, saying, oh, you are looters, oh, you are this, you are that. If your own family member becomes a governor, would you not want them to give you money? If your own personal person or your own friend goes into politics, you would expect that they will give you money. So that is what I'm trying to say. Where is our morality? Where is our moral grounds lying on? Where is our basics for a society? Because what we are seeing now is that a lot of young people are turning into traditional religion or even practicing juju and everything. A young person is now not interested in church, is not interested in doing the right thing. All he cares about is money. And he sees that with this money he could impress anyone. He could tell his mom, shut up, and his mom will say, thank you, as far as you give me money. So we've lost it. The kind of things we enjoy, the kind of things we like, are things that are not cerebral. We don't go to school because we want to invent something or because we want to discover something. There are so many things that has not been answered. There are so many questions, medically, scientifically. There are so many things that needs to be done. They're still researching the cure for cancer. There's so many things that needs to be done. But people are going to school to just go and work and make money and buy car and build house. Whereas elsewhere, places like China, if you look at their society, they're always trying to invest in technology, invent something. They are not doing social. You see, Nigeria has decayed to the point that people come on IG Live and masturbate openly without caring who is going to come on their life. That's how bad things have gone. Young persons will come on apps, TikTok, whatever it is, Snapchat, and show their nudity, their nakedness without minding who is looking. So people are now practicing prostitution, runs girl, ashawo, whatever you want to call it, because of money. Now, you might think that if government should be able to help the society, all of that will go away. But no. Because once it becomes a trend, as Nyojo for Blue Menana, before you know it, everybody will start doing the same thing. So even if things started working, like it is working here, people will still be loose. Because it has gotten into that culture that people are loose. It's now obtainable. Because here, for example, you'll be driving, you will see school kids in hot mini, and you're asking yourself, if they sit down, if they are wearing hot mini and standing up and you can see what they are wearing, when they sit down, what will happen? What will young boys be doing? The young boys are dressed up properly, but the girls are wearing nonsense. So, again, when you look at all these things, you will see that we are losing it in terms of the way of life, our way of life. There is no culture anymore. Everybody is doing what they like. Parents don't care anymore. As far as you are making money, you are good, you are responsible. And these things are what is breeding in these people, and that's how they get into politics eventually, and they even do the worst. You see, one of the dangers of having somebody who is known all over the world as a drug offender, as our president, is not about what is internal. He might even work for Nigeria. But it is because of how other people, other foreign governments will look at us, that our president, you remember when the rumor that Buhari is dead, and now that rumor has gone away. Maybe the real Buhari is here because they said they used body double at the point. So now, it will not be that Nigeria has a dead president like they were mocking us before. It now be that Nigeria has a drug lord as a president. So we have an image issue, a branding issue, but not just our government, but us as a people. There's so many crimes that are committed by Nigerians because people are fast losing that morality ground. What do you know now that you can say, everybody can say, okay, this is bad? What is in our consciousness that we can say, okay, now this is bad? We don't even know what is bad. There is a thin line between what is bad and what is okay. Because giving bribe in Nigeria now, for example, I don't think anybody will say it's bad because everybody's doing it. You give bribe and you continue. Oh, if you don't give bribe, they will hold you down. Or you better give them money and they go. That's what they will say. So we are now in a situation whereby you better join them because you can't beat them. And that is forming our society. So now it turns out to be the right of a policeman that you must give him money. Otherwise, he'll shoot you. Now we'll see what has happened in this election. What do you think will happen in 2027? You think APC and Tinubu will allow you to take power from them if he gets to be sworn in after 4 years? With what they just did when they are not... No. So this is the dangers. Now in 2031, what do you think will happen? Are you getting it? So we need to be able to say, okay, our society is breaking every day, day by day. We've lost our society. We are losing our society. We can't control our sisters, our brothers, our children. There is no morality. Kids are doing whatever they like. I mean, they are all over your Facebook and your internet. You can see what they are doing. You can't stop them. Not just weed. All sort of drugs are being taken by young persons. Cultism is on the rise. Purely because our society have lost it. So we need to start talking. Especially for those of us who have done the right things all our life, or you've done the legal things all your life. You need to start talking. Talk to young people. Influence people the way you can. The best you can. Our musics are horrible. Our music is horrible. I remember when I cannot watch like Western music, like all these Jaru, 50 Cent, blah, 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 on TV because, of course, you see naked women. Have you seen Nigerian music lately? Where is the NBC that used to ban these things? They don't ban them anymore. Now you are watching like any Afrobeat video and it's like you're watching soft porn. That's what it is. And these are things that are feeding the eyes of young persons. And it's okay. Everybody's okay in it. We are still dancing to it. So we're in a place whereby, as far as a young person is, he's rich, he has access to money, everything he's doing is fine. So we have a problem. It is a big problem. How do we start training our children up in the way of the Lord, or to do what is in the Constitution, whereby all these problems are there? Police is breaking Constitution, judiciary is breaking Constitution, everybody is breaking the Constitution. The church cannot be trusted. We saw what happened with APC hiring some talks and claiming they are priests and whatever. Anybody can come up and say he's a pastor. A lot of things are going on. Go and read Nigerian news on Instablog Nigeria. Different sorts of atrocities committed all around the world. And these are our people. People are looking up to these people. So we need to start, talking about these things. Because if we don't talk about it, we're going to be relaxed and things will keep deteriorating to a place that will have no more society. There will be no society anymore. And it's already bad as it is, so we have to make sure it doesn't get worse than this. Just as we're expecting P2B to get in the power and change the narrative of the government, we the people have to start speaking to ourselves, to our young people, to our moms and dads, to make sure everybody will stand on the right thing. I'm going to stop here. But this is just an introduction to show you why I'm changing or rebranding my social media, because I believe we need to do the right thing. My name is Promise Odera Ono, and I choose to call this the best practices today. And hopefully you can join me as we aim to change the narrative for Nigeria, Nigerians, or even Africa as we aim to get a better society. Thank you and God bless you.